told the man in the Broadway hotel, nothing was stranger than being yourself. And he
Great way to get demonetized. Hi, and welcome to the stream. I'm DJ Ware. I hope you're all doing well this morning and this afternoon, or wherever you might be. I wanted to do a chalk talk today because I was on a live stream with Tony at QuickTech Solutions and Joe over at Cajoling Technologies. Also Jay, he's with TVJay, and they were talking about the future, talking about SRT. This is not a video to one-up them. I'm going to put a link in the video notes for y'all to go and check them out. They did a really excellent job of explaining SRT and how things work. But I thought maybe I would talk a little bit more about some of the prototyping that's going on from the creators of SRT, and then show you some demos that I put together. Whenever I am prototyping an application, what I will do is take a look and see how I can make things work. So things like how can I get video to transmit over to the server? Once I get it to the server, what can I do with it? And then secondly, some of the other things like screen capture off of Linux, for example, how do we do that, those types of things? And so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And also, if you want to replicate what I'm doing, you can set up your systems the same way. So let me switch over here so you can kind of see what I'm looking at here. So SRT is controlled by, the SRT Alliance, and they have put together software that was invented by High Vision. SRT stands for Secure Reliable Transport. We used to have let's see, the starting point for streaming, is what I remember, was SRTP. And that was invented by Netscape. I think it was Columbia University and Real Networks. I think those three are the ones that put that together. RSTP is pretty much dead today. I don't know if you remember the postage stamp videos that people would do on live streams, but yeah, that's been quite a few years ago. RMTP, or Reliable Messaging Transport Protocol, was actually invented by Macromedia, which is now part of Adobe. They wrote that software in order to be able to transmit videos back and forth and exchange information with flash servers. So now Adobe, once they acquired Macromedia, they released the RMTP protocol partially. It is not a full specification that Macromedia developed, but it has enough in it to be able to do a few, basic streaming to endpoints. The RMTP protocol has a number of components in it. It does support encryption through TLS. RMTP also supports Adobe's encryption. That's a variant called RMTPE, or as in easy. But I believe Adobe controls that particular part of the protocol. And then there is also an HTTPS transport that you can use with RMTP as well. But that protocol is very slow. And the need for SRT was to try to get to as low a latency as possible. So that is what it's really all about. Now, you can't do anything about if I'm transmitting to a server that's 4,000 miles away or 10,000 miles away. I have to be able to take into account there is network latency that because of the transmission of signals at the speed of light that you are going to incur. That has nothing to do with what SRT is talking about, low latency. they're talking about the ability to propagate the video and make sure that, the changes that are coming within a local system are as fast as possible. Sub-second is what they're shooting for. But what about NDI? NDI does kind of the same thing, right? I mean, I can take video and I can stream it to an NDI server. NDI is another proprietary protocol that's owned by NewTek, and NewTek allows people to use NDI as far as partial, but then there's partial that you have to license in order to use NDI. So yeah, that's another problem. It's not open source. SRT is free and open source software. So so it is you can use it freely. And I know that it was a few years ago, I think Wowza got into a lawsuit with Adobe over RMTP, and that had kind of a chilling effect on some of its use, but I'm not quite sure all of the ramifications of that. I do know that lawsuit was settled and it was dismissed. So I don't know what agreement they came to. I'm not a party to that, so I have no clue. But anyway, let's take let me get this up a little bit so you can see this a little better. So I'm going to go over to the GitHub page. This is the High Vision SRT source code, and you can see it is quite active. There's a number of 97 contributors. There is a lot of code in here that they are working on, and they're talking about some of its capabilities here. They have guidelines for if you're interested in developing software for it, or you're interested in just using the apps that they supply, the documentation for that. There's also a cookbook which talks about how to use SRT with other applications, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. So what do we need to get this up on Linux in order for it to work? Well, OBS is building support for SRT into their system. So there is a number of products. There's I think there's one from let's see. Yeah, there's a couple of products that were announced at NAB last week that have SRT protocols built into them. So I'm going to talk about three things today. I'm going to talk about if you're interested in a turnkey solution, where can you go to get that? If you're interested in development, how can you do that? And then if you're interested in just playing around with it, that's what we're going to be doing today, is just playing around with it. So, but I will talk about the other two things, how you can get involved in some of the things that are going on. So let's talk about what we need. So if you can, it does support Ubuntu and CentOS. Of course, these now would be CentOS streams. Although 7, it's coming down to the end of this month, isn't it? 7, I think, is it this year or next year? I don't remember, but this one is definitely dead. That's obsolete. It was made obsolete in November of last year, I believe. So we have a Mac, and there's also software for Windows. But so we're going to be doing this on Pop! OS today, which would be Ubuntu. Now I'm going to be using 2204, the latest version of Pop! OS. And the reason for that we'll talk about as we kind of do this. So let me shove my window up here so that you can see it. And then I'll get the other one because I really need to in order to be able to do some of this. So, all right. So let me clear this junk out of the way. I was actually using SRT today to put the timer screen on the window. So the first thing we want to do is be able to bring down the Git code. So let's do that. Let's do a Git clone. And then I hope I still have this in my, no, I don't. I still have the title screen that I was going to type in. So let me get that real quick. Just scroll back up here and we'll drop this down and we'll grab it right there. And then we'll put our two screens back up. So I'm going to bring down the code. And then I'm going to go into the SRT directory. Now, you can read through the README file, and there's also full documentation in here about the APIs and then the applications. Then the applications is what we're going to be compiling right now, along with the libraries that we need to support that. So if you're less on the technical side, don't worry. I'm going to talk more about stuff for you, but I'm just trying to show people, if you want to play around with this is what you need to do to get it set up. So the first thing we're going to need in order to be able to test this is FFmpeg. So we'll do an apt cert, we'll do an apt install on FFmpeg. At least it's the easiest way to get it to work. Let's put it that way. Oh, I think I hit a wrong key there. I'm good at that. I'm an expert at keyboard stumbling. So I am already installed, and you'll notice this is important, that you need to have the version 4.4 of FFmpeg for this to work. Why? Earlier versions of FFmpeg don't have support for SRT. What if you don't know? What if you don't know? You have FFmpeg and you don't know. So FFmpeg has a command that allows you, let's see, I think it's just one, to look at the protocol. So it's minus protocols. And there's two listings here, one for input. So what protocols does FFmpeg read? And if you look down through here, you'll see SRT. Now don't confuse it with, there's another, well, maybe it's only down here on the output. Yeah, so make sure that both of these have SRT support so that you have both be able to read and to write SRTP protocols with FFmpeg. The other thing is, if you go to the website, and I think I have them here, maybe not. So let's go to, and let's go to the download. One thing I will tell you, if you go, yeah, we want this, and then we want Ubuntu. I think I need to go to the static build page. Yeah, there we go. So you'll notice that the release here is 5.01. If you download either the deb, there's a tar file here for, this one is for AMD releases, this is for ARM. So if you download this, it'll have everything in it except for FFplay. FFplay, for some reason, maybe it's not part of the build from FFmpeg, I don't know, but if you install the packages from, the normal packages from Ubuntu or Pop, you will get FFmpeg. So you can, again, you can test that too with the same command protocols. And yeah, then it'll show you the same thing, SRT. So we know that this version of FFplay will be able to work with it as well. If not, I'll show you a workaround for this so that you'll be able to use something to be able to play the video on screen. So the first thing we need to do, according to their website, let's go back to what we were doing here. So I get easily distracted. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that our packages and everything is up to date and we're at the latest versions of everything. And then we will need to install this. So let me do that. And these are, I need Tickle Shell, I need a package config, CMake, libSSL, because SRT does support OpenSSL as the package to do encryption on the stream, and then the build essentials, which just has some other compiler stuff in it. I've already done that, so it will take a few minutes to download those utilities in order for it to work. But the next thing I would do is I'll need to do a configure, and one thing I will show you in here to watch out for is this. This is important. Without this, if this comes back as off, you've got something that you're missing in your build, because without the clock, there's no way to detect what the frame rate is that's being delivered. So yeah, SRT does not work well without the monotonic clock. Ask me how I know. Let's see. Oh, hi, bye, HDC. Hi, Wolfmaster. Yeah, I don't do too many live streams, so I'm trying to get better at that. So, all right. So now I have this configured. I can now do just a make, and that will go through and compile everything that I need. This will take a few minutes, and so I'm just going to wait on it. I mean, obviously, I can't pause the video and then skip it for you. Sorry. Hi, Desmond. Good to see you. Good. It's nice to have you here. Yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to one-up Tony and Joe and Jay. I'm not. I'm just trying to augment and play around with it, SRT, a little bit. They did an excellent video on it, so I will put their link to that video below so that you can go find it. So yeah, I don't try to do one-upmanship. That's not the point. I was just trying to play around with it and try it a bit. So I've compiled it successfully. Everything's good. You should have, these are the applications. This is SRT file transmit and live transmit. This one allows you to take a video file, send it to an SRT stream. This one allows you to take a live source and then transmit it to SRT. This one is your tunnel, so you can tunnel it through a encrypted channel or whatnot. So, and then that's the only ones you need. Now, you can do this. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. That will then put it in your user local directory. So at this point, we should be ready to go. So the first thing I want to show you is, yeah, let's do SRT direct. And in here, I'm just testing to make sure that FF Play will handle this particular video. So let me edit this so we don't get a full screen. So I tell you what, first of all, before I start this, I need to tell you that I've always been a little daunted by FFmpeg, because if you go in and read the man files for FFmpeg, they're like that long. They just go on forever. The reason for that is FFmpeg, I knew a guy that one time, this has been years ago, but he used to edit using FFmpeg. He used to edit videos with it. And it would just shake my head. I was like, wow, you are insane. But it wasn't real, it wasn't real involved video editing. It was more just taking and putting B-roll together to form a longer video. But yeah, anyway, yeah, there's some crazy people in the world. I'm not one of them. So anyway, the first thing I'm going to do is just see if this will play. This isn't actually using SRT at all. It's just going to bring, this is the timer clock that I had running initially. And you can see that it is playing on my local screen here. So yeah, not too exciting, but yeah, it does handle that particular video type just fine. So the other thing I want to do is over here, it needs a client and a server. And so this is how you would set up the SRT live transmit. So I am going to take an input stream from SRT. Now this is looking for it. There's a shorthand involved here. That's localhost. So if I don't have an IP address in here, other thing, you may have issues with DNS names with SRT. So just be aware that there is a workaround that's in the documentation for that. But just that you saw IP addresses work fine. It's probably a lot better to try to use those anyway for this. And then this is the port number. If you have firewalls, this is going to show up as a UDP connection. So just to let you know. And then it's going to take this stream and it's going to write it to file. This is also a shorthand for the console output. And then it's going to pipe it. By the way, this is the workaround if you have a version of FF Play that does not support SRT. Because it's going to take this stream and code it to a bunch of bits and then fire it over to FF Play. You need this. This is a container. That is MPEG transport stream. And MPEG, it's actually an MPEG 2 format. So, yeah. Sorry about that. It's that time of year. So anyway, let's get this going. Oops, too many T's. All right. It'll give you some information, and then it's just sitting waiting for a connection. The next thing I have here is local. And I'll explain all of this as I go along here. So in this case, I'm using FFmpeg. The -RE, if you leave that off, FFmpeg is going to slam the channel. It's just going to take that video and just slam it, and it'll probably be just dropping frames everywhere. The RE says slow down, watch the stream, make sure that you're not overloading the network or anything like that. Just slow down, send it out so that the receiving side can keep up. This is the file name for the input. F -F MPEG TGETS TS. You need that in order for this particular version of SRT to work, because it expects an MPEG-2 transport stream. This is the command that will send it over here, and then I'm limiting the packet size to 1316. I think if you look at their documentation, you can go a little bit higher than that, but there is some information in the header that gets sent. Now, SRT will do a handshake with the server side to make sure that it needs to know what's the duration of the video, what's the frame rate, what's the screen size, the video size, the dimensions of the video, and so forth. So, and as well as the encoding. So let's go ahead and send that out. So as you can see, it should start encoding it and sending it, and then eventually it'll show up on the screen here. There it goes. And you'll know it's piping it because you'll see this pipe indicator up here. And you can see it is moving. Hi, Admiral. Admiral Nimitz, good to see you. Yeah, it is live. So yeah, I mean it is working. So now I can kill the output source. That will kill this part. Over here, this will die eventually. So the server is dead. Yeah, it'll die eventually because it knows the back end is gone. So, all right, that's nice. But what about the network? Prove that it works over the network, right? So, all right, let's do that one. So I have, I'm trying to remember which one I put this in. Is it 2-pass? Yeah, it's 2-pass. This time, same thing, except now I'm passing. Hey, hey, Tony. We're just talking about your ears must have been burning. So I'm just showing people the dirty underwear of SRT. So and talking a little bit about the video that you and Joe and Jay did earlier. So, but I'm just showing them if they want to play with it, how they could do that. So this FFmpeg command is the same. Slow down the video. This is the input. I'm telling it the duration and the video size, and also I'm specifying the frame rate. There are individual options for that, so this is a FFmpeg shorthand. If you want to just put them all on one line. And then again, the same thing, the transport. This time it's going behind me and not to that machine right there. And so, yeah, I will focus a camera back there so you can see this go. And then we'll go ahead. And I will be putting these scripts up on my GitLab page for you guys if you want them. And I'm going to switch to the camera so that you can see that what it's doing back there. Now that stall is part of the video. That's not part of the frame rate. That's not a frame rate problem. So it is now sending my the screen that normally is back there. This is the HAL 9000 screens from 2001. Yeah, it does a pretty good job of rendering the video. There will be some pixelation because you are transcoding to MPEG-2 for this particular facet of it. What am I streaming to? I'm streaming to an ARM box. It is an Odroid N2 Plus. N2 Plus, and those they go for anywhere from I think $80 to about $100 or so, and they run Ubuntu and they run Debian. They also run Fedora if you're interested in that. But yeah, if you want to build your own turnkey solution, you can do that. So let me drop back over here for wrong one. Drop back over here for just a second. So I'm going to kill the feed. And that will not go away. That server back there is running this, the FF Play. So it's just listening for the stream to arrive, and then it just does whatever I tell it to do. So let's try SRT 2 stream. And I'll put the focus back on this over here. And this time it is sending the counter screen that we had up earlier over here. Those are two different video files. One is a MP4, that's QuickTime, and the other one is an H.264 stream. This one is an H.264 stream. ProRes probably isn't going to work because ProRes is controlled by Apple, and unless you install like DaVinci, if you have DaVinci Resolve on Ubuntu, you'll probably have the necessary codecs to do that. But nice to see you, Tony. Thanks for coming. So yeah, so let's drop back over here, and then I'll kill that stream too. But you'll notice I didn't have to do anything to restart back there. It'll just take off on its own. So now the next question. What if I want to send this screen over to another computer? What if I want to do that? So I'm not sure. I had some problems with this earlier, so we'll see if this is going to work. So this is going to send an FFmpeg. This is an X11 grab. It's going to send the entire video size of this video, and at a frame rate of 25 frames per second. You can set that to whatever you want. And then this is the this is going to be the same as my display variable. Which is :1, and then this is actually the shorthand 1.0, which just means which screen you want. So if I had a 2 screen, I would do 1.1 for the second screen and 1.0 for the primary. Same thing, sending it out to MPEG-2 transport, and then this is the location where it's going. It's going to go back there. So let's see if we can get it to work. This time I'd have to do it this way though, because I don't have a executable. Living dangerously. Let's see what it does. Oops. Yeah, so it is working. It's showing my my stream output from the first screen, my primary screen. So yeah, it's showing that. So yeah. So if you want to know how to do that, you can transmit your screens from Linux. What kind of questions do you guys have before we move off of this? So you can, yeah, there is, oh, I know one other thing we probably should talk about. Let me just drop this down here for just a second. I'm gonna try to sign into that server back there. Ah, cool. Oops. All right. So what I wanted to do was to take a look at what the overhead was. Now give this a second to settle. So it's just listening and there's nothing going on. But the first thing I want to show you is, let's go back to, let's give it something to actually do. Let me send that one. That's probably heavier. Yeah, that's working. So we'll flip back here. You can see that the resources are, now this isn't a 6-core ARM machine, so it's pretty small. It has 4 gig of memory on it. It's not taking a whole lot of memory, and it's not taking a whole lot of processor either. This is not doing a lot of transcoding, but you can see the number of FF plays that are up here. It does have quite a bit of overhead based on trying to keep up with the stream, right? So, but it's not, it doesn't bother the machine very much. It's not really doing a lot to it as far as the speed. Now, network, we can take a look. Oops. Let's do glances. There we go. And we can watch a little bit more about what's going on with it. So we'll go ahead and fire it up. You should see a little bit of a jump in the CPU, and you'll see FF play come up here. So it's transmitting, and we can prove that. You can see that it is definitely sending out. Just wait a second. Make sure that it is actually going to update the screen. And it is. So it's taking 3% CPU here total, and we can see that we do have about 200 and some kilobit, 307 kilobit. So in this particular case, this machine probably, well, it's kind of hard to say, but maybe 8 streams, maybe 4 to 8 streams on just this little box. Now, if I put this up on a x86 server, probably in a lot more than this. But yeah, there's definitely quite a bit of capacity here to run this. So what else do I want to talk about? Let me just go ahead and get out of this. So the second part of this is the high vision folks do have this information about different types of ways of using SRT protocols. So you can come in here and based on what application you're interested in using, they'll have samples here for you. Now, yes, I did borrow some of these. Not all of them worked. This one, there's a screen grab here. This works fine as long as you take this out. That seems to, it wants to blow the screen up. So yeah, it's not, yeah, that didn't work so well. But yeah, you can look at some of these and get an idea of some of the things that you can do with it. Also, if you're using GStreamer or want to use GStreamer, so there's another couple ways that you can get your XDisplay over to another server or to stream it. There's also information about what version is supported for having SRT. It's version 25 now. I think the current version on Linux is 27, but I do believe it requires FFmpeg to be installed. And if that is the case, then see the information that I had earlier about it. Hi, Liba. Hi, Liba. Nice to see you, and welcome to the channel. Yeah, it's nice to do a live stream finally once in a while. I've been wanting to do these, and it's just one of those things, right? I'm just lazy. I'm lazy. That's the problem. I'll just admit it. So then there's like TS Deck. I've never even heard of this one before, but maybe you guys have. VLC, I did try some of this, but I think the version of VLC I have had installed, which is the one that came with Debian, didn't seem to want to work, but it is an older version of it. So yeah, I noticed here it says it needs to be version 3 or higher. So yeah, it's right, starting from version 3. So that's probably why I had a problem with it. It was probably too old. But yeah, there's information here, so you can use that as well. And then if you want to make sure if you are encrypting the channel, you can then use Wireshark and make sure that it is indeed encrypted or not, depending upon what you want it to do. So what about turnkey solutions? What do we have here? So I guess the first one to talk about is Epiphan. Epiphan has released a stream encoder or stream broadcaster that has the ability to support SRT inbuilt in it. So that's a commercial product. I don't know what the costs are for these. I don't work for Epiphan. I'm not affiliated with them at all. So I have no idea. Typically, yeah, theirs are kind of expensive. This one is StreamRS, and they offer the client side for this for free, but you need to have their server, which I kind of wonder, do you really need their server? But it could be that they may have a key in it that prevents it from connecting with anyone else's, but it does run on a Raspberry Pi. Again, what I have probably would work on a Raspberry Pi. I haven't tested it yet. I know it works on an Odroid ARM. So yeah, and so it probably could get it to work on a Raspberry Pi. I'll have to try that. Then of course they have their server, which for an on-premise server is about 400 euros. Which, yeah, I mean if you're doing commercial stuff and you're a business, that's probably fine. But for YouTube, I don't know. It seems there are cheaper. And Tony's video, Tony from QuikTech, they had some units that were, I think, between 150 US and 200. You will, I think they had ones that were decoders and ones that were encoders. So same thing as a server and a client side. There's also this one. I haven't played with this yet, but I found it this morning, where this is a live streaming server that is open source. And again, you can see it is quite active. They started the project, looks like, several years ago, and they have been pretty active in it, at least the last, yeah, they were, as of yesterday, they did some changes to it. This one has a number of features in it. It does support multiple streams, and at the same time, as well as it supports a number of protocols for streaming. So I think I'm going to be investigating this, and then I'll come back and do a little bit more, maybe in the next live stream, if you guys are interested, maybe talk about this a little bit as well. Yeah. Yeah, it supports Ubuntu, CentOS, and Fedora. But probably the way I would probably be interested in using this is with Docker. So yeah, I might use that. Anyway, so I'm just going to visit with you guys for a while. If here's your chance, if there's some questions that you have, and it doesn't have to be about SRT at all. Just open it up and let you guys do whatever you would like to know. You are welcome to pick my brain. What little of it there is left. I don't bite. I won't yell. Not too much anyway. Nope, nothing. Well, in that case, I think I will thank you all for coming today, and I will shut down the stream. Hope to see you all next week, and as always, please like and subscribe, and bye for now. Oh, wait. Oh, well, I probably would have to go back. I did an early review on TrueNAS Scale, and I haven't gone back to it since they have updated it. So I think the only thing that I saw in it was just some early teething things that looked like they just hadn't finished everything yet, but they didn't say it was done then either. So yeah, I don't have any thoughts on it because I haven't gone back to look at it, but I should do that and go back and then do a video on it for you guys. I put together, I'm a do-it-yourselfer, so I don't use software that has everything already done for me. I build it up myself. I run ZFS and I run it natively on Debian. So I have my own set of utilities and tools that are wrapped around Ansible to manage it. And yeah, that's kind of how I do things. It's kind of weird, but that's me. Yeah, there was it looks like there was a brief drop in the stream quality there for a minute, but hopefully it's probably because I'm switching from the stream to things that aren't changing very much, and YouTube kind of goes, hey, what happened to the stream? It should still be throwing all kinds of stuff at us. Semiconductor shortages. So there's nothing that's going to fix that for quite some time. I can tell you that I know that all three of the large chip manufacturers are building sites. Samsung has a plant they're building here in Texas. The TMC has one they're building in Arizona. Intel, of course, just finished one at their native locations up in the northern, I think it's up in Washington. And of course, they're also building out new facilities in Arizona as well. And then there's one in Ohio, and also in Europe. But yeah, it might be not keeping up very well. That is the problem with the device I'm using to stream. So I think it is anyway. Supply shortages are probably going to continue, at least what I've heard, until 2023. I just don't see it clearing. And there's no reason for it to clear because the things that are going on in the world right now are just going to make it harder and harder for that to clean up. Yeah. But yeah, what I have heard and what I've seen is 2023. If you're expecting those new plants to come online and be able to all of a sudden backfill, that's long term. You're probably talking 5 to 10 years before those get on and produce enough chips to do anything to affect the supply chain. But yeah, there's nothing. And then China, of course, they just shut down. Let's see, a couple months ago, they shut down any shipments coming out of Shanghai. So, yep, and Shenzhen. So, I think I'm going to shut down here and go do something else for a while. I hope you guys enjoyed this today. I enjoyed working on this and looking at it. I'm going to be coming back to SRT. As I'm actually going to try to build it in. Now, YouTube, of course, doesn't support SRT, but maybe we can talk them into maybe start working on it for us so that we can actually start streaming over to YouTube with it. But there's not a whole lot of devices yet commercially that support it. I think Atomos has one that they're working on as well. So, yeah, so that's the only ones I know of for sure. But anyway, hope to see you all again real soon. Bye for now.